This exhibition came from quite a long process, having been invited to show in 2016 and then thinking about Alfred Ehrhardt's photographs and that I would work also with my own photographs of corals, because in that period I was working a lot with the sea and oceans, and I was doing a big hospital for the Great Barrier Reef. So, of course, a long time later, here we are with a very different exhibition called The Burnt Sea, which is really indicative of what's been happening in our oceans and our corals, and the loss of corals overwhelms me, I think. So, working with the photographs now was a bit of a challenge because they are sort of archival, pre-digital prints. For my purposes, I just decided I wanted to do something with the photographs, not just present them as images, but to try and express this sort of dissolving of just the photograph, but also because of the dissolving and loss of the corals, and thought about this idea of the hanging veils, very transparent, that would shadow onto the wall, like again this sense of loss. And blowing them up, these photographs, these not so huge photographs, was quite a challenge, because I decided as I didn't want forms of coral, I just wanted the patterns within them and to look at these sort of molecular structures of them. So it's really sort of like a magnification of them, a more scientific look at them in a way. And so this is what I did, but in my own process of working with photographs, I always layer it with a kind of painterly layer. So I lose a lot of the photo through what I call veils, and sort of veil out and then make visible some parts of it. So in fact, in the process of making these were fully veiled. So in the end, at some period they were just white. Then I had to find the photograph again inside that ocean, as it were. Yeah, so, and then here we are. And then I guess then I had another process where I decided I wanted to articulate more these forms, and contacted a friend who's an embroiderer to make, as it were, drawings with embroidery on them to emphasize some of these forms. So yeah, so this is what we have now. I mean, I guess the show is very much about loss and disappearance, and I think what's really significant is that the actual corals that Alfred Ehrhardt photographed are no longer in existence because of the museum they were in was destroyed. So that's a kind of really strange thing, so that the corals don't exist anymore. And so I think that's it's very connected to a lot of my work, which deals with extinction and memorial work. So I think in a funny way this work does fit into that. In the last few years since I've been working with corals, there's been catastrophic warming of oceans and coral bleaching, and also catastrophic cyclones that have totally damaged the corals, so that the first times I ever saw the Barrier Reef, it was like brilliant colours and everything. When I went back to Lizard Island as artist in residence for the Australian Museum to research for my coral hospital, there had been a cyclone and there had been a big warming session of coral bleaching, and so I actually saw how radical that difference was. But now it's very extreme indeed, and so many of the corals are completely dead because their zooxanthellae algae have, of course, all been destroyed by the heat of the oceans. So in reference to that, I try to make this little hospital over here where it's a way of trying to make better, trying to imagine the healing of them. And in actual fact, in our oceans today and around many places, they are doing healing of coral, in regrowing of coral where they can. And there's a lot of places, marine science labs, set up to grow coral gardens in the hope that they can take those out into oceans. It's still very, elementary how they're growing, but of course it takes a long time for corals to grow. But so my little hospital is based on like the wards of all different colours, as of course we think of colour with coral, and it's like trying to infuse them with colour back again. So it just plays with this story of giving them back their colour, healing the coral as a complete antidote to this. So this here is lost and grey and shadowed, and this over here is brilliant colours, and the colours that coral once was, and hopefully will be again in some places, yeah.